Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're well. Welcome to Planet FPL Blank Game Week 18, and it's live. Hope you're well and just about ready to settle in. Hope you got your teams locked in. I've just heard the official FPL website's down. That could be a laugh, couldn't it? I'm sure they'll get that fixed if you're worried. Right, so I'm on free hit to clarify. First of all, shout out obviously to my man FPL Captain. You can give him a follow on Twitter. His handle's in the top left hand corner. He's a superstar. He's the man behind the graphics. Top right hand corner, you will find my free hit team for the game week, which is as follows: Hugo Lloris in goal. Back four of John Stones, Ruben Diaz, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Kieran Tierney. Midfield four of Heung-min Son, Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, and Emil Smith-Rowe. Up front, Alexander Lacazette and Harry Kane is my captain. On the bench, I've got Sanchez of Brighton as a backup, just in case Hugo Lloris decides to take illness. Ethan Ampadu of Sheffield United, Ryan Brewster of Sheffield United, Leander Dendoncker of Wolverhampton Wanderers. I have decided that with the lack of clarity over shit at the moment, I'd rather have a playing bench in case a game gets postponed. I probably won't need it, but it was nothing I felt that I was desperate for the extra million. Smith-Rowe can outscore Saka this week. Lacazette can outscore Rashford. There wasn't anything I was desperate for in that extra million, including, Stones instead of Cancelo, for example. So that's the way I've decided to go. Captaincy, as I said, bottom right-hand corner. My preference is Harry Kane. That's what I'm on. My thinking earlier in the week was that Bruno's effective ownership was going to be absolutely massive, and you might need to captain him by default. But the adding of the Spurs fixture means we've got a real split now. I think we've got more free hit teams activated than I would have originally anticipated. So I think we'll get a bit of a split. Genuinely, I have no idea who's going to be the most captained. I wouldn't be surprised, although I've not seen a lot of it on Twitter and other social media, that Heung-min Son might even be the most captained across the board. Could be Bruno, could be Harry Kane. It's unlikely to be Kevin De Bruyne. But genuinely, go with your own instinct. If you've got a preference for De Bruyne, it's fine. If you've got a preference for Harry Kane, it's absolutely fine. The only advice I'd give, you might notice that Son's obviously not my vice-captain, neither is Kevin De Bruyne. Bruno Fernandes is my vice-captain purely on the basis that he is playing tonight. It really is as simple as that. Right, let's get into the questions. This will be an hour of fast-flowing fun. I will get through as many of your questions as possible. If you see a question that's already been answered, please try and not have a repeat similar question. Let's get into it. Emerald Pilot is first. Good afternoon, James. Just last two decisions left on my free hit. 2 City defenders or 1 City and Saiss. Go for Rashford or Lacazette. So I've gone double City defence. Lack of clarity on Raheem Sterling is a little bit annoying. So that kind of disappeared for me very early in my thinking, probably as early as the weekend. My original thinking was that De Bruyne and Sterling. I think double City defence just allows you a little bit more power elsewhere. The adding of the Spurs Fulham game into the fixture list, when I originally, if it had been Villa Tottenham, I probably wouldn't have gone with any Spurs at all. Kind of ruled out Sterling once I knew I was going to want to go for treble Spurs. So I think double City allows you more. Rashford or Lacazette, if it's money, no object, and it doesn't matter, then I think Rashford, mate. Harry Redmond says Lindelof and Lloris or Dyer and De Gea. I would prefer Lindelof and Lloris. That Eric Bailly's got a doubt, potential neck injury, so could miss out. Victor Lindelof's okay, according to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, although he does have an ongoing back problem. Eric Dyer is solid as 100% he plays as long as limbs are attached, which is more than I'd say for David De Gea. David De Gea I'd put at starting at about 97-98%, but as we saw, Dean Henderson played at Sheffield United. Is there a little bit of doubt about that if you're free hitting? Enough for me not to want to go with De Gea. The only thing I'd say with Lloris, and I've said it plenty for those who regularly listen to my streams and stuff, a couple of times a year he will just be absent. He'll have a sickness for no reason. And that's why I've got Sanchez of Brighton on the bench. I don't want the 4 million goalkeeper because I'll never trust Hugo to turn up. But Hugo is the best defensive asset for this game week. Spurs win 1-0. It's far more likely that Lloris gets a 9-pointer than Eric Dyer. and that's the reasoning for me. So on that basis, Lindelof and Loris. Hutton Dresser's Lam says afternoon. FPL captain says afternoon, mate. Justin Dyer says, good day, James. Hope you're well. And good luck with going with Cavani, Wilson and Kane up front this week. Best of luck, Justin. Prey says, good day, James. Who do you think is a better safer option, Diaz or Cancelo, to complement Stones? I've gone Diaz, so it's fairly straightforward. Also, do you feel doubling up on the team's defence is a good idea, or spread out your options? Maybe Dyer. Again, those who know me know I've no fear of treble City, to be honest. I looked at that as an option last night, but I didn't feel there was enough advantage in throwing in Rashford and a little bit more power into the team if I went that way. So I'd have probably defaulted to Aubameyang, which I'm not massively keen on. So yeah, I've gone double City. It's absolutely fine. There's a lot of fear amongst people, right? If you lose it, it's going to hurt more. Of course, absolutely. And with people like Stones and Diaz, you lose the clean sheet, there's every chance you're getting nothing. Although Brighton are weak at set pieces, and that's part of the reason I've gone with those two. But someone like Kieran Tierney, Palace scoring minute 1, you know there's still a good shot. You might get an attacking return out of it. So it depends on your personal preference. I like going double when I think there's an advantage. DC says, used wildcard in game week 16. And now have 3 Leeds, 2 Saints, Balbuena and no Man City. Should I just wildcard again instead of 3 here? I have drafts ready for both. Cheers. So my advice personally, and in my opinion, because I'm in a similar position, I've got 2 Leeds, 2 Southampton, Ademola Lookman, who wasn't available for Fulham at the weekend, Harry Kane with a single game week. If Leeds Southampton's off, I don't look great for bench boost. My simple take on it is I just won't bench boost. I just play 11 and come back for the bench boost in game week 26. That's my idea at the moment. My question, as I said on the podcast yesterday, for those wildcarding, what are you wildcarding? So are you wildcarding into like treble City when we don't know the situation at Aston Villa at the moment? We assume they'll be all right for Everton on Sunday and City next week. But what if they're not? What if you go leave treble Villa on the bench and you go treble City and then that game's off next midweek? It's bad, isn't it? And it's a long time to go without the second wild card. So if Leeds and Southampton is moved and doesn't happen next week, my take is at the moment that I'll just won't use the bench boost. Simple as that. FPL captains in the chat. Hello, my friend. Hope you're well. John Bailey, how would your team look if you were on wildcard? Not players, as that will take you ages. Just what teams? I'd probably gamble on that. Like I said, City, Villa and stuff. That's why I don't want to do it. Tottenham, but then they haven't got a double in 19. Good fixtures. Obviously, this week and next week carries you through. You'd probably want to go Arsenal players. Good fixture this week. Good fixture next week. And then the bench boost isn't on the table next week anyway. So, to be honest, I've not looked at it. I don't like it. Personally, I really don't like it. I know there's plenty out there advocating for it, and it's fine. If you've got a clear strategy and idea of what you want, I wish you the best of luck. Michael Lewis says, hey James, already have Cancelo and Tierney in a 4-5-1-3 here. Want a City defence double up. Should I go Diaz and Dyer, Stones and Maguire, or Stones and Mina? I wouldn't go Mina. I wouldn't even say he's nailed. I have a feeling that Everton might play 3 at the back at Wolves tonight, in which case Mina, Holgate and Keane will all play. But there's every chance it could just be Holgate and Keane at centre-half. So wouldn't go for the Mina option. Slight preference for Stones and Maguire over Diaz and Dyer. Slight. Solskjaer has confirmed that Maguire will play, although as I've said, Dyer will definitely play as well. Slight preference for Stones and Maguire, but not a lot in that. Harry Redmond says afternoon Diaz or Saka, Gundo, Neto, price midfielder. Have Stones. Diaz for me. Downstairs, hey James, gone with a fairly template free hit team, as have I, to be honest. Interested to know your thoughts on defenders and midfield bench under 4.8. Kilman versus Mitchell. I just about prefer Mitchell because I don't think Kilman will start, whereas I think Mitchell probably does. And Greaser v Reed v Hendrick v Hayden v Burke v Dendoncker. Dendoncker, for me, the midfield runner for Wolves in what I think will be a midfield 3 for them tonight. He was back at the weekend against Palace in the Cup. So I prefer Dendoncker from that list. The issue with the Fulham guys is the unknown in terms of who had COVID, who didn't, basically. So from that lot, Dendoncker, I'd be very surprised if he didn't play for Wolves. And he's on my bench. Praise says, do you think Phil Foden is a logical pump for this game with too much for rotation risk? So I watched the excellent black box last night with Mark and Luke. I thought Luke was outstanding on it, and I know Luke's really keen on Foden. I'm not, to be honest, but if you've got the cojones, by all means go there. You know what it is. Does he play? Doesn't he play? I can't answer that question for you. Address says, hi James, please suggest a 4.3 million nailed defender, mate. Ethan Ampadu. Donna Boyle says, free hit done, no more tinkering. Good luck, Donna. Vish says, Sterling worth the gamble now he's fit. Yeah, he's fit as the start. He probably does. He probably does, but I think there's a fair shout that he doesn't. And for me, I'm a safe player. I put my hands up. It's not for me. And that kind of answers Thomas's question that follows afterwards. Muhammad Ali, Lord Linden, you top 3 best defenders for this week below 4.7 million, please. Ooh, I'm not sure what price Rob Holding is, to be very honest. But if Rob Holding's in there, then yes, although I feel like he's not. Basham, Ampadu, Clark, Fernandez, any of them, I think. If you can stretch to 8 Nori at 5 million, that's interesting, as well as obviously Roman Saiz at 5.1. Would avoid Everton. You've got nothing else there. Tottenham, Arsenal, Man United. I tell you, might be an interesting bench option. Should you be going just to United? Might be Twanzebe, who's 4.2 million at Man United. Should Lindelof or Wan-Bissaka miss out for whatever reason, he probably plays. I think if you're going to Man United, that could maybe be an interesting option as a bench option. Maybe. Probably only if you're going for one of those 2 players, like I said, though. So if I was going to United, which I have, then I did consider Twanzebe as opposed to Ampadu as a possibility, but I think I'd rather go with a player that I'm pretty sure is going to play. Be very surprised if Ampadu doesn't play, whether it's in defence or midfield. He ain't going to get an attack in return, but you keep your fingers crossed. It could be a 6-pointer. Nate says Jesus or Gundogan as a differential pick. Well, there's consequences to that. If you go Jesus, what you're sacrificing elsewhere. I mean, if it's just a straight Jesus or Gundogan question, I'm going to say Jesus. Although he doesn't make it into my top 10 on the captaincy list. It just does my head in. Luke Hopkinson, hi James. De Gea and Saiz or Ramsdale and Wilson with 3.9 million fodder defender. De Gea and Saiz for me, mate. Justin Dyer. United will let you down at the back, my man. Trust me, lol. Well, a lot of people are going to have one, so we're all getting let down together, aren't we? Alex Peary, thoughts on Bellerin over Tierney as a differential? Or do you think Zaha may pin him back? Well, Zaha will probably play through the middle, so I don't think that's a consequence, particularly for Bellerin or Tierney. I'd be surprised if Zaha didn't play through the middle. So I don't think that particularly matters. Unless it's a money issue, I don't see going Bellerin over Tierney, personally. It's a one-off. This isn't a long-term pick where I'll go, okay, yeah, that little bit of money will save you something. If you can afford Tierney, he's the better pick, in my opinion. Zaris says, Lacquer or Rashford or Martial question. Greetings from Greece. I miss your podcast and your humour, my friend. No problem, Zaris. I'm going to finish the stream in about an hour, and 15 minutes later there'll be a podcast for you. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Lacquer, Rashford or Martial. Preference would be Rashford from those, if money's no problem. Lacazette perhaps offers you something money-wise. I prefer Lacazette over Martial for the game week, I think. Kartik Rao, Lacquer or Rashford, and Son or Sterling. So Rashford over Lacazette. I'd go Son over Sterling anyway. Lewis Coles, hi James, is it Diaz over Cancelo just for safety? A little bit, yeah, that's fair. And to be honest, I spoke about this on a podcast we did for patrons this morning. To be honest, I was unsure what I was doing yesterday, and then I played with it last night. I made one draft, and honestly, I haven't touched it. That is literally what I put together in 10 minutes, because I kind of had a key idea of what I was doing anyway. The going Cancelo over Diaz money-wise doesn't make a lot of difference. The team could have been very similar. I do know that he's going to play, Diaz and Stone. You can factor in that Aki and Laporte are both out as well, so it is a lock. And of course, Cancelo attacking-wise is better than the other two, no doubt about it. And ideally, that's the player you'd want to go with. If you could say to me 100% Cancelo will play, I probably would have picked him over Ruben Diaz personally. But the flip of that is Brighton are god-awful on set pieces. God-awful. And if they concede a goal from a set piece tomorrow, I would bet you that Stones, Diaz or Rodri is the goal scorer. Dan Stairs, also, why do you favour the Spurs duo over KDB for captain? It's just personal preference. We seem to have forgotten that KDB did hardly anything this season so far. When they played each other in the restart, City beat Brighton 5-0. KDB didn't get a single attacking return. Now, it could be that completely flips on its head. I think if I'm looking at Harry Kane at home to Fulham, and it's just a preference for me, that there is a greater chance of him going off. If Tottenham go off, put it this way, if Tottenham win 4-0 tomorrow, Harry Kane will have good involvement. City could win 4-0 and De Bruyne might have no involvement. And for me, on a one-week punt, that's what it comes down to. So, but genuinely, it's close. It's close. I wouldn't say I was 100% about it. I would genuinely have gone Son over De Bruyne, personally. I'm confident that we'll do the business tomorrow. And with Son and Kane, because of their goal involvement, they don't probably need the score that City need it to be for De Bruyne to go bigger, right? If Tottenham win 2-0, Kane and Son could score and assist each other, you know that. If City win 2-0, chances of De Bruyne scoring and assisting, a little bit smaller, but I get you've got the clean sheet possibility as well. And obviously, if he does well, he's going to be in the bonus, probably one goal for De Bruyne. You know it's worth more than the 5 points most often. It was close. It was close. Just a personal preference. Benny Blanca says, afternoon, James. David De Gea or Lloris? No United or Spurs coverage in defence currently. I got Lloris, mate. As he says, good afternoon, James. Can I ask why Reguilon wasn't picked in your 4 as it involves me having a rethink? Well, Reguilon's fine. I would say, someone asked me earlier today, and I said 85% Reguilon will play. Genuinely, if I was having a Spurs defender rather than Lloris, to be honest, me being a safe player, I probably would have gone Eric Dyer. I'd say 85% Reguilon plays. Now, for those who've got very weak benches, is that worth the risk? That's up to every one of you individually. Reguilon, assuming he plays, good option if he's affordable and it doesn't hurt you elsewhere. Nante says, Neto or Wilson for the free here. I would prefer Wilson, but not a lot in that. I like Neto as a differential idea. I really put off that fixture a little bit because of what I said. I've got a feeling that Everton might play free at the back tonight. Miles Impet, hi James, Sterling instead of Son and a Wolves defender instead of Stones. Well, the preference for Wolves defender would be Saiss, and then I think Aït-Nouri, then Semedo, then Cody. Probably that order. Patrick Lawson, really can't decide on captaincy between Kane and KDB. Fulham only conceded 2 in the last 4 games. So true. Go with whatever you believe, Patrick. Jay Barker says, afternoon, James. Do you prefer the trio of Cancelo, Tierney and Cavani or Stones, Holding and Rashford? I prefer the Cancelo, Tierney and Cavani. I think Cavani is the one I think is going to haunt me that I've not gone with him. I think because all week he'd been in my thinking, and it was the rest for Martial and Rashford at the weekend give me enough concern. Although, as I said on the podcast yesterday, I think all 3 and Fernandes as a 4th. I think they'll all play. I can see Rashford playing right, Martial left and Cavani through the middle. I can see that, but it's given me enough doubt not to want to put Cavani in. But I like him as an option if anyone's feeling a bit braver than me. Jack Wilson says, thoughts on Bogle. So, a reasonable option for Sheffield United, cheap as. Baldock missed the win at Bristol Rovers at the weekend, but he's in contention. That goes for a number of Sheffield United players, including Ender Stevens as well. It's Baldock that would impact Bogle. I saw someone say that Baldock was a substitute at Crystal Palace and didn't come on. That didn't go particularly well, did it? So look, Baldock's got the experience. I would think, my instinct would be that if Baldock is at 100%, Baldock will play. That would be my instinct. Stephen Hamilton says, got Darlow in goal with Sanchez bench. Would have to move too much around to switch to Leno, Lloris. Risk Darlow or get Dubravka in? We've get Dubravka in instead. It's the same risk, isn't it? I think Darlow will play, but I mean, Steve Bruce wouldn't confirm, would he? He wouldn't. I think dropping Darlow would be incredibly harsh. He would be so unlucky if he got left out. So I think he will play, but I mean, Darlow was in one of my drafts last week, and that completely shelved the idea for me. Too much for a risk. One option is obviously to go to both, if it's affordable. But Leno, if you can find that 0.1, I'd prefer to do that. Ratchet says, hi James, non-free hitter here. Who is a better long-term pick in your opinion? Dyer, Maguire or Saiz? Do you know what? It might be Saiz, oddly enough. I like the next two fixtures, Everton at home, West Brom at home. Got Palace away coming up in game week 21 is a nice fixture as well. I think I prefer Dyer over Maguire. That said, Maguire walks into Sheffield United in 20, whereas Dyer walks into Liverpool. I don't love any of them, is the honest answer. But if I had to pick, I'd probably say Saiz. Jack Wilson says, think Cancelo starts. Think, yes. Think. Holler Stamos, hi James, what you think about Cancelo? Huge offensive potential, but I'm worried now with the last weird comments about him from Pep and Press. I've kind of already covered that, so I want to move on, but thanks for the question. David McCann says, hey James, thoughts on bringing in Rashford for Grealish for a -4 would bring me up to 10 players this game week. Yeah, I don't mind that. You can obviously get that back immediately. If not, you've got Rashford for a double next week. We assume at the moment Jack Grealish has a double, could have a treble, could have a single, could have a blank. I think that's decent, David. That's kind of worth the jump, I think. As he says, do you think the Manchester-based players having a double will make them take off assets early? Not particularly, to be honest. I mean, it's 5 days from United tonight to Liverpool on Sunday. City have also got 4 days from Brighton to Crystal Palace on Sunday. So, yeah, it's a possibility. But I wouldn't worry about that in your decision making, to be honest. Yeah, I'd look at Smith Rowe. Does he play 90 minutes for Arsenal? Probably not. Yansky says, hey James, FPL says connection failure. Ooh, hopefully that's up to date now. Remember, I'm going to be behind on the questions, guys. I do go through these in the order that they're submitted. I will go through them as quick as I can. Dick Wellington says, good luck. Thanks, Dick. Alex Sava, someone's going to clip that out, aren't they? Alex Sava says, Foden, too big of a risk. You think he'll start? Risk, yes. To think he'll start, yes. It's nothing more than that, though. Praise says, is Tierney a priority? He's in superb form. Do you think he'd be a good option for a back five? Also, it's a strong midfield, a strong attack, better this game week. I think you can get balance from the 4 teams. That's the thing. So I've seen 1 or 2 free hits knocking about with back five, and they look absolutely fine to me. I don't mind it. Me and Sush discussed this on one of the pods late last week. I think on our Patreon pod Friday. And we predicted quite a few clean sheets this week. And we discussed if 5-3-2 was viable and reasonable, and I think it is. Tierney, I think if he's affordable, is the one to get from Arsenal defensively. Praise says double City defence, double City attack. We're covered. Defence for me. Annette says Lorison, Dyer or De Gea and Maguire. Why do I feel like I've already covered that? Bevan Rosario, Smith Rowe or Saka. Also, is Cancelo a risky pick for the game week? Yes, Cancelo's a risky pick. Saka over Smith Rowe would be the choice, but for me it was a case of I don't need to force it, because can Smith Rowe outscore Saka this game week? Yeah, of course he can. He's brilliant little value at 4.4 million, isn't he? And there's no reason to think he won't start in the number 10 position for Arsenal in a home game. So it's a reasonable punt, isn't it? Am I particularly expecting anything of Smith Rowe? No. Should I do at 4.4 million? No. It's a good little punt, isn't it? But if money no object, I would pick Saka. Praise says, have we heard any updates on Villa playing in game week 19? Also, first live stream of the year, so official. Happy New Year. Feel confident I might do a stream on New Year's Day or January the 2nd. I could have that wrong. No words yet, mate. It's all going to depend on the training ground and whether it reopens or not. So we don't have the information. Hopefully we do before the game week deadline. Similar to Shrewsbury, obviously, can have an impact on Leeds Southampton next week. Praise says, Rashford and Fernandes or Saka and Lacazette. You're not short of a question, are you, my friend? But I'd be removing Rashford to free up some for Lacazette and Saka, who'd be in for Smith Rowe. Auto Recluse, hey James, best of luck in the game week. Mane or Salah? Oh, it's probably a 0-pointer for both, isn't it, Darren? Praise says, Lacazette, is Wilson any good as a second striker? Would it be better to go for a cheaper option, improved midfield? Kane is number 1. Reasonable. Either way, absolutely reasonable. Look, the thing is, I've made the choice. My choice is on the screen. So if you're asking me that sort of question, it's fairly obvious. I've decided to not go Wilson. So that's kind of answering the question, isn't it? Praise says, do you think Phil Foden... We'll skip that one. Ahab says, hi James, would you rather have Watkins or Antonio in game week 19? Antonio, as of this moment, because I haven't got the Aston Villa information, didn't look his best last night. He just looked like a drowned rat, like most of West Ham's players. But the minutes will have done him good, no doubt about that. Fintan says, please rank AWB, Tierney and Dyer/Aurier as options regardless of other defenders. Tierney, AWB, Dyer, Aurier. Praise says, why do you feel double United attack, and I don't mean Sheffield, isn't a good idea? Rashford and Fernandes, or maybe dropping Rashford for Foden. I haven't said that it's not a good idea. I think Rashford and Fernandes is. On what I'm doing, it's not affordable. Who do I take out to afford it? I'd have to wipe the bench. So if I wipe the bench, I could go Rashford instead of Lacazette. That doesn't interest me. I think it's a close enough call that it doesn't particularly matter. Jack Brady says, captaining Bernardo Silva this week. Thoughts? Good luck. Jasim Jazz says, hi James, Wan-Bissaka or Maguire for free hit team? I've gone Wan-Bissaka. Gundogan or Saka. I prefer Saka, but I think I would want to prioritise three City players. So if not, then yeah, Gundogan. Got KDB, Cancelo, Tierney and Lacazette. So by default, Gundogan, as Suj likes to call him, but I'm not keen on it. Full-time talk. Good afternoon, James. Thanks for everything. Thank you. And TJ, hi James. No worries, accept your apology on Tuesday's pod about Gundogan. Sorry, yeah. So Gundogan in game week 18 free hit team question, or Smith Rowe Saka better option, as kind of just answered in the previous question of Jasim's. And I can't tell you not to do it again, can I? You're going to. I know you're going to. Matt Clark says, hi mate, you prefer Son and Richarlison or Kane and Foden? It has to be Kane and Foden because as far as I'm aware, Richarlison's been ruled out for Everton. So he's certainly extremely doubtful, so it has to be Kane and Foden. Happy with the risk involved with either choice. Just wanted your Spurs thoughts. Cheers, pal. No problems. I think that's straightforward, isn't it? Edwin Guan, why Smith Rowe over Saka? Money, my friend. Simple as that. Ryan Walker, Tierney, Neto, Saka versus Saiz, Zaha, Smith Rowe. First option for me there, Ryan. Vic Rand says, hey James, I've got 7 players this week. Thinking of a -4 for Salah and Alexander-Arnold to KDB and Stones. We'll take another -4 next week to go Cavallero and Kane to Salah and Antonio. Thoughts? Sounds reasonable, my friend. You've got a plan in mind. John Harris, chance of regular start, James. Quoted that already. 85%. Andrew Martin, our Leeds correspondent, says, afternoon, James. Just wish you good luck. How many will Man City score v Brighton in your opinion? I'm going for 3. Yologul says, got 8 players after a -8. Should I take out Ayling for holding for another hit? Leaning towards yes currently. In my opinion, beyond a -8 is too much. Beyond that is too much. So for a -8, if it's appearance points of worst case scenario, you're down -2. At -12, you're down -4. And that's then becoming, it's too much. I'm not, -12. -12 should be dramatic issues, I think. And the power of play you should be getting is important. And Rob Holding's not that. Think of it like this. Rob Holding gets a basic clean sheet. You're up 2 points. Congratulations. Not for me. Mark Dorney says, attacking the game with 5 big hitters. Son, KDB, Bruno, Kane. Son, too much. Well, you got Son twice there, Mark. So I'm not sure which player you've missed out there. Maybe it's Rashford, for example, or Aubameyang. No. Absolutely reasonable. Completely fine. I mean, you're going to combine the effective ownership. You're going to kill it, aren't you? Tenzin says, Sterling nailed. Nobody at Manchester City's ever nailed. Other than there's no reason to believe that Kevin De Bruyne won't play. And it would be astonishing if neither Diaz or Stones played. Super Tiger says, hi James, ranking order of preference please. Neto, Saka, Silva, M, Wolves forward in the order that you've written it, my friend. I know Bradley Parker, our Wolves correspondent, thinks Catrone may start for Wolves and come straight into the team actually. So Neto over Saka, then Silva. Luke H, hi James, who do you think will score more points, Wilson or Tierney? Good question. Wilson. Just. If it's a straight choice between the two, Wilson. Soft Krez, will Sterling start tomorrow? This is a repetitive theme, isn't it? Calling Pep. Hey Pep. Alex Abdella, sorry if I already asked, but can't decide on Son or Rashford. For me, Son. I would look at it and go, if you're indecisive, if you definitely think Rashford, fine, go Rashford, no problem at all. But if you're indecisive, I would go Son. If Rashford goes off, it's going to hurt, but not as much as if you go the other way and Son goes off. That's simplistic thinking. Josh Riddle, Justin and DCL to Wan-Bissaka and Wilson, -4. Then best budget forward for double game week. Have Bamford already. I don't mind the transfer, Josh, for the -4. I think that's okay. The appearance points should cover it at least. That's fine. And then probably Antonio for Wilson would be my thinking at the moment. But obviously keep an eye on the Villa situation with Ollie Watkins. Ray Koresh this afternoon, James. Thank goodness the blank game week's about to start, pal. Good luck for the game week. I have also free hitted like you, but Captain KDB. Good luck, Ray. Mr. Chills, Jesus, too much for a risk. Jeez. Look, it looks like he's going to start. We know Aguero is out now for sure. There's no reason to believe that he won't start. Definitely wouldn't stick the armband on him. No way. But reasonable? Yeah, of course, because anybody playing for Manchester City up front can go off in any game. Is he reasonable? Yes. Would I particularly want him? If I had loads of money, if I had the extra 3 million going spare, I would pick Jesus over Stones. But I'm not keen enough to go Jesus over Lacazette and sacrifice somewhere else. So for me, it's a no. Alex Saver, I'm taking DCO out tonight so I don't lose value. Antonio, a good replacement with a double next week. Is he back and fully fit? Why go Antonio now when he's not playing? That's what I'd say, Alex. Unless you've already got a good 11 for tonight. If you haven't, you should really be going for a player that's playing this week and worry about that next week. So I wouldn't go Antonio now for game week 19, sure. Old School says, James, my man, I got 8 players, won't free hit Captain Kane or KDB or Bruno or Smith Rowe. Yeah, Smith Rowe, mate. Look, my captaincy top 10 are on the right hand side in terms of preference. If you ask me that question, I'm going to say Harry Kane, aren't I? J Lodge, Stones and De Gea or Wan-Bissaka and Darlow. Stones and De Gea. Chris Jago or Jago, apologies if I mispronounced that. Hi James, do you realise then Donker has more clean sheets than Wolves as a whole? So early sub appearances, is it? Great. As, how about Sterling? Any thoughts on him? I think we've done this one, haven't we? Downstairs, last question from me, mate. Have to get back to work. What bench order would you go at? A Brewster, Dendoncker, Mitchell. Cheers again for all your great content this week. Absolute legend. Cheers, mate. The order that you've got it. So I've gone Brewster over Dendoncker. Just close call. I'd go Mitchell last. Hollis Stamos. What about DeAndre Yedlin? Is he nailed? I think there's certain risk in Newcastle defensively. One, because I think it's probably a back 5, but it could be a back 4. And then that probably makes Clark a little bit. Could be Fernandes and Shaw as the centre backs. Jamal Lewis is a possible to cover at right back. Obviously, Kraft played there in the cup against Arsenal. So, I mean, Yedlin probably plays. I have a feeling that they might play a back 5 and Jacob Murphy might play right wing back. That's my instinct. And so, I mean, is he nailed? No. Old school, lads, make questions direct, make it easier on him. Nick Edmonds. Hi, James. Is Gazaniga definite backup keeper to Hugo over Joe Hart for this game? Why would he be? Joe Hart's been on the bench, I think, every Premier League game this season, so why would that be the case? Nerdesh says Rashford, want to say something about him? Yep, great option. I don't like him off the right, which is where I think he might play as much as off the left. But I could have that wrong. Could play up front and split forward with Martial. There's loads of things they could do this week. I think he plays off the right. Doesn't appeal to me as much. That's part of my reason for going Lacazette and not sacrificing the bench. And I want the bench, so it wasn't one to force in. For me, Son over Rashford was quite a straightforward choice personally. But yeah, very good option if you can find a way. Notorious knows Bogle will start. I've already covered that one, my friend. Kevin Orpen, KDB, Sterling, Jesus question. That's the best question we've had so far, thanks. So BC1, is Lascelles a good bench option? If not, who else at his value? So Lascelles is 4.2, so I've seen a few asking about him. I kind of covered Newcastle defensively. I think it will probably be back 3, Clark, Fernandes, Shaw. Lascelles played 45 minutes at Arsenal, which I think was beneficial for him. Don't forget, he was out for basically 2 months because of COVID, so I think it'd be taking it slow for him. I wouldn't expect him to start, personally. Happy Do Geneva. Hi James, greetings from Switzerland. I'm struggling to find a cheap goalkeeper for game week 18 and game week 19. I'm keeping Martinez on the bench. Any suggestions? I think if I was on a wild card at the moment, I think I'd go Pope and Martinez. I think is probably what I'd go with, which is too much for goalkeepers. And then you'd look to move off one straight after using the bench boost. That would be my thinking. In terms of cheap, it's not great. You're better off, if you're looking to bench boost next week, you need to sacrifice something else. I mean, Areola didn't play for Fulham at the weekend, so there must be a small doubt about him. Is he one of the COVID cases at Fulham, for example? So I'm not keen on Areola. Sanchez I've got on my bench just in case of cover for the 2% chance that Lloris, for whatever reason, was unavailable. No, you're right, they're not great. I would find a way to get up to Leno or Pope, personally. I'd sacrifice something else. Honestly, there isn't a good answer to it. That's why you're struggling, mate. Adam says, hi James, got Leno, Stones, Cancelo, Wan-Bissaka, thinking Leno to Lloris and Wan-Bissaka to hold him. I prefer Lloris to Leno, but then that's the price difference. And obviously definitely prefer Wan-Bissaka to Holding. I think I'd stick with Leno, Wan-Bissaka, I think. Navin says, hi James, Wilson and Smith Rowe or Neto and Saka? Wilson and Smith Rowe for myself. John MacArthur, afternoon on Sky, thinking Zuma to Cancelo as Chelsea no longer required for captaincy. Worth it, a waste of a precious transfer? It's absolutely fine, John. Just double check you've obviously got coverage for next Tuesday when Leicester play Chelsea and West Ham play West Brom. Owen Walsh, afternoon James, cheers for the great content, mate. If Cavani starts, who drops out, Martial or Greenwood? Greenwood, most likely, would be my opinion. I don't think Greenwood starts. Alejandro Perez, who to bench out of Saka and Neto? Oof, grim. You must be in a nice flush position for your team. That's a difficult call. I think if I had Neto, I'd play him. Mark Downey, Smith Rowe or Bellerin? Have Leno. Bellerin's probably the better option. Not a lot in that though, Mark, I don't think. Alistair Coper. Hi James, asked you on Twitter earlier, but it's slightly changed now. Would you go Stones on Wan-Bissaka or Shaw? I wouldn't go Shaw. Or Diaz and Shaw. Oh, there you go. There's your answer, mate. MHTF, what do you think of a free hit of... I'm not going to do your whole team, mate. I'm sure it's great. For Bachi, Maguire 4-5-1 or Wilson 3-5-2. With the choice between Maguire, Wilson... Probably just Wilson. Just Wilson. Pete Haley, hi James, who to choose between Lloris and Holding or Tierney and Areola? Well, I think because of what I said about Areola has to be Lloris Holding. It's unknown on Fulham. Fulham assets for this are dangerous, I think, unless you're going for one that you know played at the weekend. I think it's dangerous otherwise. Zishan says Wilson or Saiz? Wilson. Akshat, Shaw, Bailly or Lindelof or free hit. Oh, 4 free hit, sorry. Lindelof from that lot, mate. Dixie says, Kane captain, Spurs will butcher Fulham after COVID madness. Not necessarily. Alexander Kurov, will Stone start? It would be a big shock if he didn't, mate. Static says, hope you're well, mate, and that the fam are well. Thanks for all you do. Maguire or Wan-Bissaka? You have Wan-Bissaka, but is that just a money issue? If you could have either, who would you have? Wan-Bissaka. Genuinely. I mean, my team is maxed out, to be fair, but I would... Straight choice, if they were the same price, go Wan-Bissaka. FPL Hitman, hi James, just dropped in to say good luck for the game week. Cheers, thank you. Guys, 20 minutes to deadline as a reminder. I'm sure there's many of you question-wise I'm not going to get to, but I appreciate those asking the questions. Abhirup, sorry if I mispronounced that. Wan-Bissaka or Dyer, who is better pick? Wan-Bissaka for me. Padam says, Spurs game postponed? Question. Yes, at Villa. Stop scaring everyone else playing Fulham tomorrow. John Bishoy, why expensive Lloris when you can get cheap Dyer? As kind of explained, a little bit more on the bonus. Dyer, you're not really expecting anything more than a 6-pointer or so, are you? Really not expecting it. Lloris in a 1-0 Spurs is capable of a double pointer. Dyer needs a goal for that. And look, Eric Dyer's due. I'm not going to lie. I think Dyer's reasonable to go to. But I'd like going with Lloris. I think Lloris is the best Spurs defensive option, and I can afford to do it. If it's difficult for someone else, you need to go Leno and Dyer, for example. Fine, but that's the choice that I've come to. Let me just check that there's not anything news-wise that's come in that I need to make anybody aware of. No, nothing fear-wise. FPL Badger, my Norwich correspondent. Hello, Mark. Hi, all. The site is crashing for some people, saying connection failure when making transfers. Don't leave it too late. Mikey2908, Clark and Saka, or Smith Rowe and Dyer for free hit. Smith Rowe and Dyer for me. Stephen Hamilton, money not the issue on getting Leno, already on Tierney. Smith Rowe and Laka. Francis Logan, thinking Zinchenko as a differential was double City defence. Free hit question. Thought he was best player v Chelsea. I thought he played very well at Manchester United as well. But yeah, Zinchenko or Walker and Cancelo. Two of the three is going to play. Probably not all three. If he picks his strongest team, I don't think Zinchenko plays. I think Cancelo plays left back. But I think there's every chance that Zinchenko will play left back and Walker doesn't play. And there's every chance that Cancelo doesn't play. You know the risk, Francis. Sheikh says, will Region start? 85%. Georgina says, hello, James. Diaz and Saka or Saiss and Foden for a free hit. With Diaz and Saka for me, FPL Warrior. What do you think about Saiss over a Manchester United defender? Also, I see you have Swerve Newcastle. Come. A little bit of doubts about the system is one reason. That to be honest, that's the main reason. Plus, I just like the idea of smashing into the four bigger teams this week, to be honest. Newcastle were frustrating bastards. Let's just remember, they're playing a shit team, but also shit themselves. So I'm happy to skip it. They're fine. And I think Sheffield United assets are fine if you want a defensive asset. If you want to be like Mark Southerns and go for McGoldrick, I can't believe no one was asked about him yet. It's absolutely fine. It's a free hit. Okay, in your free hit, you should take some personal punts on people that you like, that you want in your team. If you want to go for it, go for it. Another hoops alright, mate, is Neto a decent option this week, or are the Arsenal boys a better pick? Neto is, of course, a better option. If I could afford to get Neto over Smith Rowe or Saka, I probably would have. Wasn't worth breaking anything for me. Nicky Kassam says, percentage chance of Foden and Jesus starting in your opinion? Go on, whack a number on it, brother. Foden, 55%. Jesus, 85%. Vikrant says, hello, James. Emil Smith Rowe or Saka? If money's not an option, not a problem, then Saka is the preference. JK, afternoon, James. Hope you're well. I'm going 4-5-1. Kane up top. Felt I would get more from the defence rather than Wilson up top for the 3-5-2. All the best. MN, Zaha or Rashford? That seems like a fairly easy one to answer. Do I need to answer it? Savant Singh says, why have you gone for Wan-Bissaka over someone like Saiss? Again, uncertainty on how Everton might play, actually. And Wolves, in a back four, it's just not great at the moment. It's not great. When was the last time we kept a clean sheet? FPL Legend, what's your rank? Awful, mate. 1.5 million or something. Hoping that'll be inside 1 million in 10 days' time. Georgina says, who would you get, James? Foden, Saka, Neto, Gundogan or Traore? No issue with price on any of them. Neto, but to be honest, if you're trying to force in a third city, I'd rather go Foden. And shit, it could be a one-pointer. MHTF, worth going for a risk with James Rodriguez? Certainly a risk. Not keen with no Calvert-Lewin, and Richarlison I think is out as well. Omar says Cancelo was brought off at halftime versus Birmingham. No way is rotation risk. Omar, suggest you have a look at Guardiola's quotes from earlier, mate. Dixie says, I'm thinking of doing a bit of chopping and getting Sterling in for a differential. Am I mental? Nothing's mental, mate. Listen, if you go for it and Sterling's in the team, you'll be pleased. Savanch says, thoughts on Cavani, keen to take a punt on him. As I said earlier, Savanch, really liked him as an option this week. Rashford and Martial's rest of the weekend put me off. But I haven't got the cojones to do it. But I would say that if I knew he was going to be in the team, I probably would have picked him over Lacazette. So I think he's a very decent option. Keshaf says, Captain Bruno, Kane, Son or KDB. It's a nice clue on the screen for you, Keshaf. Bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Joe Finibada, thoughts on non-free hit with Cancelo, Diaz, Tierney, Bruno, KDB, Son, Kane from -4. Anyone else worth taking the hit, taking another hit for? What you got there? How many City? I mean, Salah to Sterling. Make your day, Joe. Or go for all Blanca Yang. Why does no one want all Blanca Yang? Castigat says Saiz or Region. I'd probably go Saiz, actually. Seb Fox, who do you think is best captain? There's a clue on the screen. FPL Warrior, if you didn't already have Stones, a money no object, would you go for Cancelo over Stones? Probably not, because I am desperate for the 11 starters. And I think there's enough doubt for me. Kevin Orpen, I put in a Wolves defender and Traore. Is it a bad call? You've done it, Kevin. No, it's fine, mate. Kishaf says, Man United to win the league? Question. Doubt it. Lauren Harris, need a DCL replacement in Sky. Already have 5 midfielders, so needs to be a defender or striker. Would you prefer Cancelo, Tierney or Wan-Bissaka? Well, if Tierney covers your captaincy on Thursday, Lauren, I think that's the more obvious one. If you've already got cover, Cancelo, and you'll get the benefit of seeing if he's in the team or not tomorrow. Excuse me. Matty, what do you think about 4-5-1? Bit of an outdated system, was very popular in the mid-noughties. Nerdish says, Ederson or Stefan, who going to play? Why would it not be Ederson? Jeanette says, Cavani too risky, just covered. Joe Finley Batter, reluctant to take any of my Leeds players out. How likely is it that their double game week becomes a single? Joe, I don't think it would be reasonable for me to give any answer other than 50-50 at the moment. 9 Tank 7, Sterling, a good captain pick question. Great show, by the way, thank you. Reasonable. He would be my 7th favourite choice, though. Rishi says, Hi James, I could get 9 players using my 2 free transfers. Plus, it's for -4. Should I not free hit? Rishi, it depends what the players are. And there's no point putting them in. I'm not going to get to your question. But it depends who the players are. If you've got 9 players and 5 of them are shit, then free hit. What's the players? That's what's important. It's not the number, it's who. Kevin says, Aubameyang or Sterling is a free hit and Rashford captain. Question. What's the question, Kevin? You want to buy Aubameyang or Sterling? Rashford captain? Yeah, all fine. Zach Hurst on a wild card. Son or Rashford? Rashford for me. If it was on a wild card, yeah, I'd go Rashford on a wild card. It's different to the free hit. David Withers, Smith Rowe is on first bench spot but getting itchy feet. Tempted to swap him out, but the least threatening option is for Martial. Is that senseless? I mean, I would start Martial over Smith Rowe if that's your question, David. Sherwin says Tierney or Smith Rowe. Tierney. Caden, Orion a free hit. Punt. It would be that. Aurea starting, I'd put at about 70%. John Kedwood, evening James, thoughts on Leno or Darlow? Leno is the safer play in my opinion. James Lawson says Foden question, done that to death really. Demish, Wilson or Wan-Bissaka? Wilson, slight favouritism for me. 12 minutes to deadline, which means bear with me for a moment. I need to publish a podcast. That's getting published. You might have a lag for 5 or 10 seconds or so, but it will come back round if that's the case. Martin Lancelot, I'll tell you about that podcast in 15 minutes. Sorry, I skipped a few. James Bettison, Readerval to Smith Rowe, worth a hit? No, not for me. I don't think it probably is. No, Readerval could start. I don't think he will, but could. Jody Amsterdam, why no Cancelo? I think we've probably explained that. Hopefully you've heard it, Jody. Thanks for the question. And TJ, yes, James, I think I'm going to punt on Gundog. Wish me luck. Good luck, my friend. Martin Lancelot, Yedlin, big tasty. That's Jamal Lewis. Or Lewis to start for Newcastle versus Sheffield United. Can't afford any more cash. My predicted Newcastle team would have none of them starting. I'm sorry. Probably best bet is Yedlin. It's probably your best bet. Adele says Rashford, Wilson, Laka, Son or Kane. Son. There's too much going on there, Adele. Sorry, mate. Thanks for your question. Trundle, rather Leno or Darlow. Just done that for someone else. Adele says, you think Darlow will start? Yes, probably 70%. Alif says, I captain Sterling for this game week. Do you think it's a good idea? I just worried if he didn't start. I think you've answered the question there in your question, Alif. Dan WM, do you think Davis will start for Spurs? 15% or so. I think Region will play. Zayn Patel, Jamal Lewis to Lindelof for -4. Worth it this week? Nah. Maybe if you're bench boosting next week, maybe yes. If not, no. Anna says, hi James, would you choose Chris Wood or Wilson as a wild card pick? Fuck, I'd probably go Chris Wood, you know, and hate it. But I'd probably go Chris Wood, mate. Jonathan Albert, is it too risky to play armband and attacking double up on the same team? Could be better for coverage to captain single attacker Egg Bruno with no other United attackers. Nah, that really makes much difference. It's fine. You know, I've captain Kane and I've got Son. Having Son or not having, if I'd have gone Rashford instead, that wouldn't have influenced my decision to captain Kane. So no for me. Elise says, I captain Sterling. I think we've just done that one. Slaughter PFK, James, have you analysed your captaincy picks in terms of points gained this season or any other? Yeah, last season was disastrous. This season's been better, actually. I want to say I've had about 12 out of 18, I think. But I'd need to check, to be honest. Another hoops going then. I may as well ask if no one else will. Dyer or Davis? Dyer, mate. Kalis FIFA. All right, mate. All right. How you doing? Stephen Cross. Hi, James. Do you think Mari starts for Arsenal? Looking at him for the bench. I think Gabriel will play. Is my personal opinion, but I definitely wouldn't go for Gabriel either. Too risky. Caden Delau. Hi, James. Thoughts on Serge Aurier? Just kind of done that. Juan Reina, Darlow or Martinez for long term? I mean, for long term, Martinez, but I don't know if that helps you this week. Ivo says, hi James, twice. Thanks, Dread FPL. Alright, James, hope you're well, bro. KDB, your son, captain. My preference is Son. My top 10 captaincies in order of preference, bottom right hand corner of the screen. Shariza, Cancelo for captain. I don't hate it, but you know the risk. Ivo says, hi James, Fernandes or Kane, captain. Again, bottom right corner of the screen's a big clue for everybody. Dreco, boss, I'm on free hit. Foden and Maguire or Wilson and Stones? I'd probably go Wilson and Stones and bottle it. Vignesh, 8 minutes to deadline, everyone. Vignesh, De Gea, Tierney, Cancelo, Stones. Should I remove Stones for Dyer to cover Spurs' defence? No, I would rather have a treble up on Spurs. On Manchester City, sorry. That's what I'd prefer. Just checking if the old website for official FPL is working fine. I've managed to log in okay. There are no problems. I did have the captaincy on Lacazette though. That's a good job I fucking checked, wasn't it? I'm not even joking. I swear to God, I just went in and checked my team and the captaincy was on Lacazette. How the fuck? Honestly, I swear. I've just changed it and I'd never checked my team during this stream. Wow, imagine that if I'd looked later. Fuck me, what a state. Oh dear, that's a nervous moment. I don't get nervous at the moment. I only checked to see if the website was working. What a touch. This shows how much I care about this game, doesn't it? Elise says, hi, Captain Sterling for this game week. I think we've done that one, haven't we? Caden Delau, hi, James. Why do you like the Spurs boys over everyone else? Well, I don't. I've got treble City, treble Arsenal. Trundle, Saka without bench or Smith Rowe with Brewster and Clark on bench. Saka without bench or Smith Rowe with Brewster and Clark on bench. I prefer a bench, personally. Tom H, you look like an older version of Mizkif. I have no idea who that is, but it's probably insulting. Buck Sharp, Neto or Eze for fifth midfielder. I prefer Neto, mate. Praveen, Sterling or Rashford. If I only had double City, I would probably take the chance on Sterling. The upside could be good, but you know it can be a one-pointer. Max says Wan-Bissaka and Shaw or Saka and Wilson. I think I prefer Saka and Wilson personally. That would be my preference. Checks again. Captaincy is on Harry Kane. Alif says oh fucking hell. Anik, Cavani or Martial? Martial by default, unfortunately. I really like Cavani as a shout though. You need balls for it. If you got balls, Cavani. Jitesh says, hi James, hope you're doing fine. Why not Bruno captain? They've got Burnley away. Are you Man United going to go off big? And I know someone can say, yeah, look at Man United's away record this season. Scored more goals than anyone. Right. How many tough away games have they actually had this season? Caleb says, Saka or Lacazette? Well, Lacazette. Ayman says, Stones or Lindelof? Already have Cancelo. Stones. Alif says, bloody hell, just no. Stop with the repeat questions, honestly. You can go. You can go. Can't bother with these repeat questions. I'll get to you or I won't. Sage says Neto or Maguire. I'd probably go Maguire, actually. Stephen says Dyer or Maguire. Maguire. Praveen says Rashford or Sterling for midfield. Who is better? Just done that, I think. Ibs MUFC, Neto or Gundogan. I'd go Neto, but if you got double City, Gundogan. Max says thoughts on Region. Good player. 85% likely to play. Sir Cartier, why Kane over others for captaincy? Because that's my preference, mate. I did explain that near the start. Magendran, who should I captain? Lacazette, Bruno, KDB, Kane. Well, I'm going to say Kane, aren't I? Adam says Rashford over Son. Question. That's not my decision. Omar says, why the Smith Donny? Brilliant. You've got loads of comments in there that ain't important. Jamie Faint, Saka or Gundogan. Similar. If you've got 2 City players, get a third. I really want most people to have 3 Man City players, is my personal preference. CCL, thoughts on Neto over a premium defender? No, not for me. Praveen Alex, Rashford or Sterling for midfield? Who is better? Sterling, if you've got the cojones, probably. He's probably the best way to go. 4 minutes to deadline, guys. Alex Allegretto has gone Neto over Saka. Which, there you go, that's answered Jabin's question. Saka or Neto. Ivo, who do you think will start? Darlow or Dubravka? Probably Darlow. Thank you, Alex. Good luck to you too. Amin, what's the FPL code? www.fancypremierleague.com or something, isn't it? Amin, Luis Cash, thoughts on Martial? Probably plays. Not massively keen. Frustrates the life out of me. Shereza, I think I've done that one on Cancelo captain, if you're feeling fruity. Kushal, done that one. Animal, Zaha question, not keen, personally. But you know, if Palace do well, there's every chance that he will. Ivo, James, looking forward to Cup round 2. Me, yeah, absolutely, mate. Can't wait. A-Man says, I'm so pleased that we got through 57 minutes and no one asked me about that. A-Man says, Lindelof or Stones? I've done you already, A-Man. Kushal, Saka or Neto? We don't need capital letters. I just blank everyone with capital letters, to be honest. Chris Jago, are you worried about Rashford with a Burnley low block? I'm not worried about it, mate. He's not in my team. Aidan, mate. Southampton Leeds going ahead. I don't know, mate. 50-50. J.A. Sterling or Kane, bro? Kane, bro. Neil Kager. Thanks, James. Just wanted to wish you good luck. I think we should super chats to these. At least you and Suj deserve for your help. Cheers, Neil. If you want to support me and Suj at the moment, we'd love you to join Patreon. We can talk about it after the deadline. Banny fuck boxing. Love that. Is KDB captain a good idea or a big risk? He's a good idea if he's your favourite choice. Javid says, think Shaw going to start, James? 60-65%. Kakpa, Foden or Gundogan? I'd go Foden, personally. Yash says, AWB or Tierney? I prefer Tierney, actually. Akash, Region or Tierney? Question. Region or Tierney? Question. I would prefer Tierney, personally. I love my patrons. I'm just reading my general Slack channel. Yes, I really did nearly captain Lacazette by mistake. Rohit, Mara's a good option. It's the same as all the other City attacking options. Do they play? Don't they play? If you haven't got your team locked in, guys, please do. 1 minute to deadline. Rajikma says, will Wilson start? I don't know why he wouldn't. I know he was left out precautionary, him and John Joe Shelby at the weekend, so should be okay. YAWB over other United defenders, says Tom Butcher. Slight preference for potential and attacking return. I don't think it'll particularly matter. Bane Foot wants to know who everyone's going to captain. Waylid says Lacazette or KDB for captain. KDB from the 2. John Look just tuned in. KDB injured. Just seen this. But can't believe it. Is he really? I mean, well, it's deadline time now if he is, isn't it? Shit happens. I make that 4:30 PM, guys. If you're not locked in, you're in trouble. Deadline has hit. For all those who've asked the questions and I didn't get to, apologies. It would be so much better if people didn't ask repeat questions. I'll be going back through that. If you ask the question more than once, this is your opportunity to go back and delete them, because you'll just be muted from the conversation in the future. Because I'd rather ask as many varied possibility questions as possible. Happy to hang around for 15 minutes or so if anybody's got any non-FPL questions. Yash Ia, you're very welcome. Yes, if anybody's got any non-FPL questions, happy to hang around for 10-15 minutes or so, but deadline has passed. Feel free to drop them in the chat now. I did mention earlier that we've got another podcast coming up shortly. That will be live on YouTube, premiering at 5 PM. Completely non-FPL, but it's a good time to switch off for a little bit now. We've done a podcast recorded earlier today, which will go out at 5 PM, audio and video, on the Brexit impact on Premier League and future transfers. Not FPL related in any way, so if you only come for the FPL, you won't enjoy it. But for those who'd like a nice little podcast to take your mind off FPL, that'll premiere here on YouTube at 5 PM. Tim Lum, why are there so many wet wipe spammers in these deadline chats? I don't know, Tim. Sorry about that. FPL captain says champ man move this week, James. Chris, I haven't got a Scooby, mate. I won't even look at it tomorrow, I'm afraid, my friend. No idea. Stephen Hamilton says, Christ, we'll be left with about 10 questions if you delete repeaters. So Tim, I have no idea who my champ man FPL captain on Thursday will be either. I couldn't even tell you the fixtures, mate. IM says, what's the weather like down south? So I'm in London, and the weather's been a lot better since yesterday in terms of temperature. It's up to about 7-8 degrees now. The weekend was very cold. I took a bin bag out to the bins the other night, and literally it took me 10 seconds. And in them 10 seconds, I was questioning to myself, how did I used to sit outside in January and February for the football? Like, I can't deal with this. It's just so long being out in the cold. But actually, the weather's not too bad. It's not raining or anything. It's very mild for this time of year at the moment. Tommy Moody says, hi, James. Do you think Brentford will go up? Yes. Yeah, I think they've got a great chance. I see they've got another great cup draw. They've got Leicester in the 4th round. They'll give them a proper game. I think yes. I think yes. They're another one who they might find a nice transfer in January potentially. Maneuver says, missed on people's poll, understandably, and sorry if I missed it anywhere, but thoughts on Trippier betting topic. So yeah, it didn't get voted in on the people's poll topic. It's something we might come back to, Maneuver, because I'd really like to cover it, actually. To be honest, we might do it on Patreon in the next week or two, actually, mate. So I'll hold my thoughts on that if that's okay, because I'm pretty sure we will cover it at some point. FPL Warrior says, thanks, James. Great stream as always. Swap Loris in for Darlow. Guys, hit like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Help the man out. Yep, thanks very much, FPL Warrior. Much appreciated. TJ Dara, what did you think of Vinicius' celebration versus Marine? Seemed a bit much against an 8th tier side. Yeah, completely laughable. A little bit embarrassing. Standing there like fucking peak Mbappe, weren't he? It was a bit silly. Joe Finney Batter says, any other non-free hitters want to rent the sofa to hide behind together? Alan Jr. Newcastle for Sheffield United score prediction. I'm going for 0-0, mate. I'll still watch it. Another Hoop says, Lacazette a decent captain option this week then? I can't believe that nearly happened. I'm not joking. Genuinely, the captaincy was on Lacazette. I have no idea how, because I wouldn't have even, I never would have used that as an option. I have no idea how that could have happened. Andy Ben says, bourbon or custard cream? Both. Couple of bourbons, then custard creams. But custard creams. Super Tiger, how's the daily walk with young Harry been, pal? It's not been happening much. But we've built a garden in the last few months. Many of the people, our patrons, will know that in the summer. And we put a slide up for him yesterday, and he fucking loves it. It's brilliant. Super Tiger, that's what we've just done. Madridista Ashish, Cap KDB. If you did, well done. If you're asking, you're too late. Fancy Gaelic football. Will Jose ever start Bell, Son and Kane together this year? Maybe. Tomorrow. Don't rule that out. Owen Walsh, sorry. Some patience, James. Good luck. Cheers, mate. Bannyfoot Boxing. What's the best rank you've ever finished on FPL? So I finished 21,000 the year after Leicester won the league. And I was about 6,000-7,000 before game week 37. But at the time I refused to have Spurs players. And you may remember Spurs went mental in that game week 37 and then game week 38. Tim Lum, last Friday I went out to put something in the bins outside and they were frozen shut. Wow. Stephen Hamilton went to take the bin out last night and never realised the lid had a puddle of water on the top shoes and so love it. Jay Barker, can United beat Liverpool next week? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Tommy Moody, I'm a huge Bees fan and not too confident as our football's been questionable at times. You got a good chance though, mate. I don't think there is an outstanding team in that league this year. And the experience of what happened to you at the end of last year might put you in good stead for the running. Benny Blanco says, hey James, Sky question. To bring in another Man City defender, would you remove Neto, Grealish or Zuma? So if you can afford to remove Neto tomorrow, that seems reasonable. Grealish, you've got to remember, we'll talk about this tomorrow, he's on 4 yellow cards as well. And on Zuma's now decent probably for you to remove, Benny, as long as you've got the coverage for next Tuesday. So I think Neto's probably the safer one to remove, although it feels a bit before they play West Brom at the weekend. Super Tiger, with the COVID-19 situation, Spurs, Fulham fixtures and easish FA Cup games, what do you think Jose prioritised competition-wise? The league, but he doesn't want to get beat in anything. Right? It's clear, isn't it? He'll mix the team up a bit against Wickham. If we play Everton in the 5th round, I wouldn't be surprised if he went full strength. Stephen Hamilton can't wait till Lacquer outscores Kane. It's inevitable now, isn't it? You're very welcome, Peter Randall. Pepsi, hi James, in Sky, Rodri or Gundogan? Rodri. I'm not ruling out buying him myself tomorrow, possibly. I'll talk about that on the Sky pod tomorrow. Nerdish. If it's for Højbjerg, though, I wouldn't make the move tomorrow or even Sunday, actually. Maybe next week when they play Villa. I wouldn't force it for tomorrow. Nadesh says, my FPL is being updated. Has deadline been passed? Yes. Chris Jago, have a guess on job effective ownership this week. Or KDB effective ownership, sorry. 60 to 70%, maybe. No idea. Bannyfoot, you captain Brewster, is that a risk? No, mate, great choice. Jonathan Albert, best goal you've seen live? Mine would be Hazard away at Liverpool in the League Cup. Best goal I've seen live. Just for Rob Pick, I want to say Ginola at Barnsley. Super Tiger, to be honest, Gascoigne against Arsenal, 91 semi-final. Super Tiger, Spurs win the title this season, but you lose Kane and Son for free end of season as a cost. You taking it? Yeah, all day long. The life in itself ends if Spurs win the league. I got nothing else to live for. I don't care what happens after that. I'm obviously exaggerating, but yeah, they can go. I said all this about like Pochettino when he was saying if we win the Champions League, I might leave. I was like that at the time. Listen, you beat Liverpool on the weekend, I'll kiss your ass on the way out the door, mate. Bring me one of them big trophies. I don't care afterwards. Do what you like. Tommy Moody saying that Jonathan Albert. I can't see that comment. No, I didn't say Sun v Burnley. No, Sun v Burnley probably top 10ish or so, but I wouldn't know. Liam H, think that's the first and last time we'll ever see a Newcastle player in your top 10 captain picks. That's why I did it, to be honest. Just, oh, look, it's a Newcastle player. I did that with Zaha when they played Sheffield United as well. That'd be a warning to you. Bainfoot, I literally just answered that question about best rank. TJ Dara, do you ever watch Ben Foster's vlogs? Really entertaining. I've seen him a couple of times. Yeah, good crack. Joe Cahoe says, wants a shout out. Joe! There's your shout out. Ivor says, will Watford go up? I mean, who will be the Watford manager in 2 months? It's a little bit more difficult to answer, isn't it? Their window could be quite important as well in terms of maybe if Ismail Assar stays and his head's in the right place and stuff, then yeah, If you ask me to name 3 now, I'd go Brentford, Watford, Norwich as the 3. Super Tiger, what's your take on the crazy theories about cup competition draws being questionable? Ridiculous. Banyaflex says, you've made it, Joe. Now you've got a shout out on this show. We'll leave it there, guys. As I said, the impact of Brexit on Premier League football going forward, mainly on transfers. It's a half-hour podcast. That'll premiere for you at 5 o'clock. Tomorrow, we're doing Sky Fantasy Football. Thursdays, Clash of the Correspondents. Dan Lord, FPL Loco Lord, and Jack Toner at Turfy Topper, previewing Liverpool and Burnley ahead of the double game week 19. On Friday, me and Suj will be back as early as possible with a full podcast reviewing all the blank game week 18 action and obviously looking ahead to double game week 19. If it goes my way, I'm bench boosting. If Leeds Southampton's off, I'm probably not. So, as I already said, if it's off, then I just pull the trigger and I just go with 11 players and I'll bench boost in 26. That's my thinking. In terms of Patreon podcasts, we did a Q&A yesterday, which was absolutely brilliant, I thought, genuinely. And I know the feedback from the patrons on that's been really good. We did our Tottenham podcast earlier today. Tomorrow, we've got a quiz on Premier League players. Where were they 10 years ago? Tomorrow, I've got an Ask James stream. Will be exclusive for patrons on Thursday. And on Friday, we'll have our differential show for patrons, our Game Week 19 preview. If you'd like to support Planet FPL on Patreon, we'd be very, very grateful. Links are in the bio. Please do read what you get available at the various tiers. If you've got any questions, feel free to slide into my DMs. Other than that, guys, deadline's gone. Enjoy the game week. I wish you all the very best of luck. Ciao for now.